Welcome back to our channel where legal concepts are dealt. Today we're diving into the first part of our mini-series, La Centurium, where we break down the fundamental principles that shape our legal systems. Law 101 is your ticket to understanding the core concepts that form the bedrock of law. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone who wants to know their rights, this series is designed to provide you with the essential knowledge you need. In an increasingly complex world, it is more important than ever to have a solid grasp of the legal principles that govern our society. So let's embark on this educational journey together and explore the fascinating world of law. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on our latest legal insights. Let's start with an often overlooked yet crucial aspect of international law: jurisdiction. Have you ever wondered how international law manages to maintain order and peace among nations? At its core, international law, much like any other legal system, relies on the concept of jurisdiction to function. Jurisdiction, simply put, is the authority to apply law. However, in the context of international law, the story is a bit more intricate. International law, unlike domestic legal systems, doesn't have a single overarching authority that can enforce rules on a global scale. Instead, it operates on the principle of state sovereignty. Each nation is sovereign within its own borders, meaning it has the supreme authority to make and enforce laws for itself. Therefore, international law primarily depends on the consent and cooperation of states to function. For instance, if two countries have a maritime boundary dispute in the absence of an international court order, each country is technically within its rights to enforce its own laws within its own maritime areas as it sees fit. This principle of state sovereignty is a cornerstone of international law, reflecting the reality that in the global arena, no single power can dictate rules that all nations must abide by. However, it's not absolute. States have increasingly recognized the need to cooperate on a global scale, especially when it comes to addressing transnational challenges. Issues like climate change, international trade, and human rights often require states to set aside some of their sovereignty and work together to find common solutions. This has led to the creation of numerous international courts and tribunals. But it's important to remember that only states can bring cases before them. Now, you might be thinking, what about individuals? Can they take legal action on an international level? The answer is generally no. Individuals cannot directly enforce international law against another state, unless that state has expressly agreed to it. So there you have it, a glimpse into the fascinating world of international law and jurisdiction. Remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to discover, so stay tuned for more installments in our Law 101 series. Next up, let's unpack another fundamental aspect of international law, the concept of a treaty. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more legal insights. A treaty in the realm of international law is essentially a formal agreement between two or more states. It's the primary mechanism through which nations establish binding obligations and rights on a global stage. Now, these treaties can cover a wide range of topics, from diplomatic protocols to complex regulatory frameworks. For example, the Paris Agreement, aimed at combating climate change, is a treaty where various countries commit to specific emission reduction targets. Similarly, trade agreements like the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, are treaties that dictate the terms of trade between participating countries, but what makes a treaty legally binding. The basic rule is simple. For a treaty to be valid and enforceable, it must be ratified by all the states involved. Ratification is essentially the formal process by which a state signifies its consent to be bound by the terms of a treaty. Once a treaty is ratified, it becomes a legally binding obligation on the participating states. However, It's not a straightforward process. Negotiating and ratifying treaties involves a complex web of considerations, including national interests, international relations, and oftentimes lengthy legal procedures. Now, you might be wondering, how do we ensure that states uphold their treaty obligations? The answer lies in a combination of factors. States are expected to incorporate the provisions of treaties they ratify into their domestic legal systems. Additionally, there are international courts and tribunals that can play a role in resolving disputes over treaty interpretations or breaches. Of course, the effectiveness of these measures depends on a variety of factors, including the political will of states to comply with their international commitments. So there you have it, a fundamental pillar of international law. Stay tuned for more in our series.